This is Pudding. This is Sydney's sister. Everything cats do is for a reason. Nothing's by accident. There's no such thing as a naughty cat. I don't think people can actually understand how much a cat can be devoted or attached to their primary caregiver. Cats can be trained equally as good as dogs, or they certainly have the capacity. Lovely part of the job when you get that final photo that you've wanted. Cat parents are all too often to share them with me. And then when you've got a beautiful ragdoll cat that's been over grooming so much that he's bald, and then with certain strategies and plans in place, he goes on to be a show champion. Cats, they are emotional and sensitive creatures, and they can pick up on all of the change. And it's nice to give something back, isn't it? Because it's not all about take. If you're doing it because you love cats and you really want to help people, then this is the right job for you. My journey is from a completely different career background. I'd always loved cats, and I used to foster for cat charities. I'd always been really interested in cat welfare, and I used to rehabilitate cats, so those sort of semi-feral cats that weren't able to go straight into a home. I used to spend a lot of time with them. So my interest was always in rehabilitating, and I knew that cats could be trained, but I didn't have the knowledge. So I went to get some study. You can do, distance learning. You could go to university. There's lots of different routes. It is an unprotected title here in the UK. So that means that anyone could go and read a book and call themselves a clinical animal behaviorist. Hopefully it will be protected soon, but that was my journey. And then once I got the credentials, the qualifications, years of study, I then started to put my knowledge to work on a pro bono basis for lots of cat charities. So that was really good because I could actually trial out my skills, my plans, and really sort of gain a good underpinning of knowledge. Two of the organisations I'm a member of, they test you yearly. And that is that, you have to have at least 30 hours of CPD, and you have to have your depth and breadth of knowledge has got to be superb, because it's an ever-changing skill set that you need to grow with. You can't just say, that's it, I've got my qualification, Sydney, and that's it. So it's really good because I love learning, and that was the other thing for me. I just love learning. So if you love the process and you can commit to distance learning and you have a tutor online, you can do it, as quickly. Obviously, if you're doing it full time, then it would be about the same as, or a little bit shorter than, a university degree. And then I think the main thing is to get your experience, because you may have all of that knowledge, but how do you put that knowledge into practice? Have you developed your people skills? Do you know the right way to extract information, ask the right questions? Because a cat parent may not give you voluntarily all the information that you know. And you have to have good people skills too, because you have to be able to engage with that person. You have to give them lots of hope, obviously. You have to be able to communicate how your training methods will work and why they should follow your training methods. They should have trust in you. So it's a very clear, transparent relationship, because it's a two-way street when you're working with clients. You have to work to fit their abilities. If they are out at work all day, they may not be able to spend the same amount of time that you'd want them to, but you have to be able to give them the space to be able to say that without seeming strict or overpowering. The light bulb moment for me was the study, and then the study opened up the secret world of cats, and everything started to make sense. So then I realised everything cats do is for a reason. Nothing's by accident. And wow, I can begin to understand why cats are doing this. I can be their interpreter between the cat parents and the cats. All of my studies are science-based, so therefore all my treatment plans are science-based. I can just basically decipher what a certain, maybe a signal is. Say, for example, tail carriage or a tail quiver, and the cat parent can't understand what that means. Well, it could mean several things. So I decipher that way. If a cat parent has got a cat that's really unhappy and spraying around the home, then I know that that cat is trying to tell the cat parent something, and I have to try and navigate the answers. Is it a cat that's outside in the neighbourhood that's suddenly upsetting the cat? Has there been a change in routine? Has the cat been neutered, or spayed if in the case of a female cat? So all of these are questions that I need to ask, but they're all science based. So I certainly am their advocate, looking for best animal welfare standards. It can be the human perception and projection of their emotions and thoughts that can be projected onto the cats. So, for example, if you've got a cat family that's a human family with a cat that have got a great deal of human stress, those stresses can be projected onto the cat. And that can cause a cat a whole load of issues, because the cats, they are emotional and sensitive creatures, and they can pick up on all of the change in the hormones, the stress hormone that's exhibited from the human parent. They're going to think, gosh, if my mum or my dad's really stressed, then I need to be stressed. So that can be really impactful. Cat parents can perhaps, in some cases, take a cat on because they think it's an easy version of a dog. And cats are not easy versions of dogs. So they'll think, oh, they're smaller, they take less work, they take less interaction. And that is the biggest mistake. Along with failing to do your research on, if you're having a particular breed, do your research on the breed. Is that breed suitable for you? If it's just from a rescue centre and it's just a beloved moggy cat, have you got the time to spend for that moggy cat? Do your research, learn, watch Kittysitty on TikTok. There's plenty of good presenters out there that are just going to give you their best advice based on their life experience and their knowledge. And also grab a book. There's some great books out there. It's not just a matter of going to the grocery store, opening up the bag and pouring the litter in. Have you got the litter at the right depth? Is it the right type of litter? There's so many nuances in just a litter setup to making sure it's fine for the cat. So do your research. That's a great piece of advice. And don't take on a cat thinking it's an easy option to a dog, because it is. There's no such thing as a naughty cat. So a cat will do something for maybe attention seeking, or if people are saying the cat's naughty because it's soiling outside of the litter box, then that could be because the litter facilities aren't correct. If the cat is scratching everywhere on the sofa, on the carpet, what are your scratching facilities like for the cats? The cats need to scratch because that's an innate function that they need to be able to do, because it feels good. And there's a whole other load of reasons why cats need to scratch. But if you haven't done your research and you don't know that cats need to scratch, both vertically and horizontally, then you might think your cat is acting out. If you're not giving your cat enough attention, again, the cat's going to start attention seeking and it will be bored. So the cat will start attention seeking and you'll just think, cat's being naughty. It's knocking stuff off. I've got 7 cats in the home. So a top tip for any cat parent would be, this one's really easy, it's routine and consistency. So if you start playing with your cat at 4 o'clock every morning, hideous time, I know, but if you did, for example, then you have to commit to that and you have to keep the same routine going all of the time. You can't just put food in a bowl and just leave it in a corner. That's not good. You need to be able to get your cats to practice forage feeding, and you could do scatter feeding. I mean, I love this box, not only because it's got a leopard print cover on it, but it's filled full of tissue paper and you can sprinkle food in there and then give that to the cat to go and forage. So you don't have to spend money on cat feeders, but cats need to be able to forage and certainly tap into that innate hunting instinct, whether they're indoor or outdoor. It's a good thing for cats to do that. Regular play and making sure they have high places to perch. Regular play, I've mentioned that, but that is really important. Generally, your cat is going to want to hang out with you, may want to sleep next to you, on your head. If the cat wants to be close to you, then your cat likes time sharing with you. But it's worth also noting that not all cats want to have that same close proximity as other cats. So it doesn't mean to say if your cat isn't sleeping next to you, they don't love you. A cat will headbutt, when you're just looking at them, and they'll bump you with, or headbutting, bumping, booping. There's lots of different words for it. That's really good. You mentioned the slow blink. Cats will knead on you and tread on you, make biscuits. So that's another way that they can show that they are self-soothing when they do that. And that's something that they're being close to you, and they're doing that. Their tail language. If they're happy to see you, their tail will be up. It'll be like a little question mark. It may even be like a Christmas tree and start to sprizzle because they're so excited to see you. So there's lots of ways, like I've just mentioned there. Their body language will be nice and relaxed. They won't be on high alert. Cats do form really strong bonds and attachments to the cat parents. And I don't think people can actually understand how much a cat can be devoted or attached to their primary caregiver. They really can. So cats can be trained equally, in my opinion, as good as dogs, or they certainly have the capacity. They don't have the same appeasement trait that dogs have, whereas a dog will always want to please. A cat will always do something on its own terms. So you have to tap into what you want that cat to do based on its own actions and give it positive reward. I've got some of those buttons where you can get your cat to press the button to get a treat. I've taught one of my cats to do that, but he does it because it's reward. So cats are very trainable, and in fact cats are masters at training us as their parents to do things as well. One of the ways they will train us is by knocking things off shelves because they want our attention. They will wake us up at 4 a.m. in the morning by tapping us. And of course, then we wake up, we give them their attention, and they have trained us. So yeah, it's sometimes I think the cats are masters of training rather than the other way around. So I call them Jedi cats because they've mastered the art of training us as humans. So what I always recommend is think about a timed feeder, but you don't necessarily have to put food in it. And some of these round time feeders have got different compartments. They've got about 4 or 6 compartments. In those compartments, say your cat's waking you up at 4 o'clock every morning, you could preempt that so that at 3:30 and 4:45, a timed feeder will open round, and in there you could put a licky licks or churro. You could put some screwed up tissue paper with some treats in there into the next section, and then it could go on and on. So as long as you preempt their waking up time, which is say 4 o'clock, and then maybe 3:45, you would give them something in there. It could be a toy with some catnip sprayed onto. So then they get used to actually going to the feeder to see what's there rather than waking you up. And if that doesn't work, then I always say keep the cat out of the bedroom and get an eye mask and some earplugs and go cold turkey, and eventually they will give up. There's been every case is worthwhile. But for me, when you have a cat that has been so aggressive that the cat parents have been in the ER room, not just once, but multiple times, and you work with them, you are at the end of the phone when things are going wrong, to talk them down and go through a strategy. And then to see the journey that they go on, is the cat going to be euthanized? Is the cat going to be rehomed? And all of the sorrow that is intermingled with that. But then you work through and you get a breakthrough, and the cat is then a lot happier for whatever reason it is. You never know. But what part of your plan has been the breakthrough moment? It's everything all together. So to see photographs of the happy cat parents holding the cat, loving the cat, when 6 months ago it could be that the cat was going to be surrendered or given up or put to sleep, that is really, really heartwarming, and that just makes everything, because it's the cats I work for. Yes, the parents hire me, but I work for the cats. And I'll always say that before any consultation. My duty of care is with the cat. And and if I have to say things to you that you don't like, I'm going to be transparent with you, and I'm going to say that because I am speaking for the cat. That's the most lovely part of the job, when you get that final photo that you've wanted. Cat parents are all too often to share them with me. And then when you've got a beautiful ragdoll cat that's been over grooming so much that he's bald, and then with certain strategies and plans in place, he goes on to be a show champion. That again, that's so lovely. And some of these people are experienced cat parents that come to me, and they really do place their trust in me. It could be, but then on the flip side, there could be somebody who's never had a cat before and wants first aid advice. But generally, I would just advise them to go and watch my TikTok channel, because that's what that's there for. That's a supporting catalogue of all different videos that any first time cat parent can go and look and hopefully get a good grounding. And then they're all in playlists. So if your cat's house soiling, you can look on the house soiling one. If your cat's being aggressive, you can go and have a look at that one, and so on. Not that long ago, actually. So if you go and look at my first videos, which are horrendous, by the way, but I've left them there. Honestly, they're so bad. The content, the message I'm trying to convey was still right, but I think my delivery was not good. But I won't take them down, because that's a reminder to me that we can all improve in everything that we do all the time. And it's through learning, it's through making mistakes. So never be afraid to make a mistake with a cat, because that's how you learn. I'm always trying to better myself in my the way I produce videos, because I want to be able to deliver them to an audience that will take that on board without feeling that they're being lectured to or it's boring. I want to be upbeat. I've got such a passion for cat behaviour, so hopefully that comes across in the video and people can pick up on that energy and makes people think, oh, maybe I could do that with my cat, or maybe I could be a cat behaviourist. And if it ignites that light bulb moment that it did with me, then that will be a brilliant thing. I never work a day, because how can this be work? It's a pleasure, it's an enjoyment. And to be able to share my cats on screen as well, I think is so lovely, because they won't be with me all the time, will they? One day they'll have to, unfortunately, cross over the Rainbow Bridge, but I'll have all that fabulous content of them getting up to mischief and hanging out with me on the screen. So if anybody wants to know how to find me or access any of the free content, or even inquire about a one-to-one plan, then that's at inquiries@kittysitty.net, or just go to kittysitty.net. I've got the full range of social channels. So it's Kittysitty Cat Behaviorist on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook and TikTok. So I do try and vary the content a little bit. I do live events for cats.com, which is an American company. So I do a live event for them. So once a month on a Tuesday, it's called Cat Chat Tuesday. I do my own lives, not as often as I should do probably. And I also do live events for the Cat Show Live or the Cat Show Cat Club, which is UK based. So you can see me live and or just drop me a DM with any inquiries. But I'm always happy to help. Charities can't afford a behaviourist, and if they have a problem with a cat that needs to be rehomed and then it needs to come back in again, then I'll work with them with that cat so that the cat can get back. And it's nice to give something back, isn't it? Because it's not all about take. And as I say, you're not doing this job because you want to be a wealthy person, because it's not going to pay that sort of money. But if you're doing it because you love cats and you really want to help people, then this is the right job for you.